Let's get into it. Number one.
You still can't read it?
Okay, so number one. Oh yeah, so that's they're pretty similar. So the number one is emotion, and perfect transition because you just brought it up. In your analogy, you see someone crying, someone walks by. Don't be a right. In that situation, which one do you? So who would you say is more masculine, the person crying, or the person saying don't be a p word?
The person crying.
Why?
Because, okay, so like let's just take it like with the little contents we have. All we see is someone crying and someone walking by telling them not to be a P.
Yeah.
You don't know why that person's crying.
100%.
You don't know if like a family member just died, or they just
100%.
lost their job that was their only source of income, keeping a roof over their head. But this other guy walks by and already has like this preconceived notion that anytime a man cries, it's like being a little B, and you should stop that. That's not very masculine of you.
Mm-hmm.
And we've talked in our previous podcast that emotional intelligence and understanding that as a man, as a human being in general, you're going to have these emotions, and it's okay to have these emotions. The guy that's crying knows that it's okay to have these emotions. So he's being a normal human and crying regardless of the situation, you know?
Those bars.
I need to stop saying after I finish.
100%. What we talked about on our last episode is that the definition of masculinity is to have, you even looked it up, emotional intelligence, to be aware of your emotions, to not be afraid, not only to express them, but also of other people's opinions. Not be afraid of other people's opinions, don't care about them. So that means being okay with expressing something like crying, being okay with that and not caring what somebody else thinks. So, and like you said, having that emotional intelligence, that also comes with the skill of empathy, with being aware of the fact that people have emotions, that you have emotions, and that although sometimes they may bring you to conclusions in your mind that might not be the best choice, the masculine option there would be to be aware of those emotions and look at them from a logical standpoint and make the best decision there from what is necessary, not what is the easiest option. What is necessary? What is the best option, not what is the easiest option? So where do you think that comes from? Why do you think that's associated with toxic masculinity? That men believe that they shouldn't have emotions.
I feel like that's just something that kind of developed throughout, like maybe people back in the day saw that as a sign of weakness, and that's just something that carried on throughout. Like maybe like way back when people were like still fighting for land and like using like bows and arrows and spears to fight. Like if you get hit and you start crying, then it's a sign of weakness, and like you're showing your enemy that you're hurt or something, you know. And maybe now that's just trickles down to the very small, minute things that make us cry.
Yeah,
are considered signs of weakness.
Yeah, I think if anything, it's because emotions are just very. When you think of emotional intelligence, I don't know about you, but I think of the feminine, and I think that's a huge skill that they have. The women in my life that I know that have a high emotional intelligence, I can't think of a man that I know in my life that has a high emotional intelligence up to par with them. So I think that's a huge skill and an advantage that the feminine has over the masculine, which is a super awesome and powerful thing, and something that everybody should have in their corner. So 100% that comes from that, people believing that men should not have emotions when that's just not biologically the truth, from the way that we're all built, the way that all of our brains work, subconscious, all that stuff. And so that's associated with toxic masculinity, Lucas. So if a man thought that they shouldn't have emotions, is that toxic? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes.
Because then you're not going to be able to stop yourself from having these emotions. So all these emotions are just going to build up, and eventually you're going to lash out in some way, shape, or form.
Right.
And it's not healthy for your mental state.
Yeah. So what we're saying is this is a toxic trait. We're not saying that these traits are not toxic. What we're saying is this is not masculinity. This is insecurity. This is less common in the feminine. That's why it's associated with masculinity. However, this is not masculinity. This is just straight up insecurity. And again, moving in fear, being afraid of your emotions and not wanting to face them, even though that may be the hard thing to do. Usually the hard things to do are typically the right things to do and the best things to do. So you probably should do that fudging thing.
All right, let's go this whole episode. No swears. We're doing good.
Yeah,
So far.
bro, I was doing great on the last episode.
Nah, you did it first, and then that opened the floodgates.
No, what did I say?
You did it first,
What
but I
word?
did it more. You did it something in the beginning,
The S
in like
word
your
or what?
opening. I think so.
In the opening? Hell no. Well, we'll see. I don't remember doing that.
Hell's a bad word you discussed.
No, it's not.
I don't know. It probably is.
No, it's no way.
YouTube's super strict with it.
Oh, okay. I'll start being more mindful of that.
With the crapping butt.
Yeah. So you already touched on instead of being so that's the toxic masculinity. So what would you already kind of touched on that. So the actual masculinity version of emotions is what in 30 seconds because you already touched on it.
The masculine thing for emotions is being able to express your emotions and being comfortable in your skin to express these emotions, because guys are going to tell you throughout your entire life that crying is a feminine trait, but if you're comfortable within yourself and in your own skin, you're not going to care about what those people have to say. And again, tying back into masculinity, caring about people's opinions of you is not a masculine thing to do at all.
No, unless I mean there's some
Unless that person's like important to you,
right? Like the compromises would be like is if it's your trusted advisor. Mm-hmm. I mean, tons of lessons in history or in anything in general have conquerors or successful people. They have had trusted advisors who they trust them to lead them in the right direction when they started to stray off path. If they became too arrogant, if they became too power hungry, if they started messing around, making the wrong decisions, etc. So there are exceptions to that for people to keep you in line, keep you on check. For some people, it could be your mom. For some people, it could be your business partner. It could be your woman, it could be your man, whatever. So there are some compromises for that, but the point is for the opinions that is not going to change your life, is not going to affect you in any other way. The only reason that does affect you is because you're letting it into your head. A ship does not sink by being in the ocean. A ship could be on the ocean and stay above water. The only time a ship sinks is when you let the water inside the ship. So it's your job to realize what deserves to be inside your head and what doesn't. And that is the masculine thing to do.
Or even the lions don't lose sleep over the opinions of sheep.
But when that lioness says, yo, I'm hungry, then you better go hunt, baby.
You better go get that.
You better go get that. You better go get that shmoney.
Actually, I think lions, the women do the hunting.
Oh, that's true. And the men protect the pack.
Yeah. That fool's lazy.
Lazy ass. That was toxic. Okay. Well, you said foo. All right.
That's a bad word.